the Meadows. The first and absolute last of this weapon class you will find on my list is the Flint Spear. Spears are my least favorite weapon class in Valheim, but the benefits of using this in the early game cannot be ignored for the following 3 reasons. 1. It is cheap. It costs far fewer leather scraps than the crude bow, but still provides you range capabilities with its secondary attack. Use the spear throw to hunt deer for their hide rather than the expensive bow. 2. The vertical drop-off of the ranged attack is more consistent than the bow once you get comfortable with it. Plus, it fires more accurately than the crude bow, which tends to veer to the left of where you're targeting. And third, it has incredible attack speed and pierce dealing damage, making it viable beyond the Meadows into Valheim's second biome, the Black Forest. And speaking of pierce damage, to effectively evaluate the best weapon in the upcoming biomes, we first need to understand damage and creature resistances before we can proceed. First, there are 8 types of damage we need to concern ourselves within Valheim. 3 physical in Pierce, Blunt, and Slash, and 5 elemental in Fire, Frost, Poison, Lightning, and Spirit. Second, most creatures in Valheim will have resistances to damage types, taking reduced damage from them, as well as weaknesses, receiving increased damage from those types. Each weapon in your arsenal will deal 1 or many of these damage types, of which you can determine by inspecting your weapon. In choosing our preferred weapon in the biomes going forward, we will consider the creature's strengths and weaknesses and match our preferred weapon to take advantage of them. And with that out of the way, let's dive into the Black Forest. With the acquisition of bronze, you should craft the first of my favorite weapon class in Valheim in polearms with the bronze Akir. This weapon class absolutely crushes with its massive pierce damage, long reach, and overpowered secondary spinning attack. The Grey Dwarf clan that inhabit this biome will look to swarm you, and the Akir secondary attack allows you to hit multiple targets at the same time, with the bonus of neutralizing them with applied stagger. That said, where this weapon truly shines is against the first true threat in Valheim in the Troll. Trolls are weak to the pierce damage dealt by the Akir, and further, you can easily stagger lock them with the secondary attack. Hit them with the attack, wait for them to wind up their next, and hit them with it again. Alternatively, while we will not cover the ocean biome specifically, progressing to the Black Forest unlocks the capability to craft a boat and take to the sea. If you are lucky and discover a Leviathan, you can mine their chitin and craft the Abyssal Razor. This weapon is absolutely busted for the Black Forest as it deals damage comparable to the Iron class of weapons, only obtainable by progressing into the dangerous swamp. This dagger, like the flint before it, does both slash and pierce, allowing us to still take advantage of the troll's weakness, but also allows us to avoid the pierce resistance of the skeletons in the burial chambers due to it also dealing slash damage. Further, daggers are unique in that they have twice the backstab bonus for other weapon classes, meaning they deal 6 times their damage when hitting unaware targets. Simply sneak up on a troll and absolutely devastate them. Summarizing the Black Forest before heading into the swamp, it's safe to say that either the Akir or Razor will lead you to success in this biome. Unlike the previous region, blunt damage sets itself apart in the swamp, with our number 1 choice being the Iron Mace. Of all the creatures in the biome, we have very few weaknesses to work with, except for the blobs and oozers, both being weak to blunt damage. The 2 exceptions to this rule being the Night-Crawling Wraith and Spooky Abomination. In these cases, you will want to avoid blunt and pierce damage and look for elemental damage when you can, or at least slash damage, like from an axe in the case of the Walking Stump. All that said, the best part of the Iron Mace is how powerful it is against the biome's boss in Bone Mass. Unlike most other bosses in the game, this boss has a weakness to both blunt and frost damage. For this reason, the Iron Mace will absolutely terrorize the giant green menace. In short, you can't go wrong with the Iron Mace in this biome. Moving to the mountains, this biome introduces the first ranged weapon as my preferred choice with the Draugr Fang Bow. This biome contains the first airborne creature in Valheim in addition to a flying boss. Like the Drake, Motor also enjoys a nice trip into the sky. Further, you will want to keep your distance from the lethal wolf pack. It is my preference to use stealth against these bad doggos as much as possible, often one-shotting them with a single arrow when unaware of your presence. The strength of this weapon extends inside the frost caves, as both cultists and wolves have a weakness to poison. The added poison damage of the Fang will melt these enemies. All that said, if determined to force melee weapons, any of the Iron class weapons will do, and with silver acquired, you cannot go wrong with the Frostner. The Frostner is very likely the most well-rounded weapon in all of Valheim, dealing blunt, frost, and spirit damage. In addition, you should not underrate the added benefit of the slow effect applied by the mace. As I alluded to in the open, you might just see the Frostner referenced again as we proceed into the most difficult biomes the game has to offer. The Plains allows us to return to the best weapon class with the black metal Acure. Like the bronze before it, offers the same benefits of the pierce damage, great range, stagger, and a powerful secondary attack. In the case of the Plains, it allows us to handle the horde of fueling with its spinning attack. Further, the mighty locks having resistance to blunt and slash physical damage with the pierce of the Acure breaking through their thick fur coats. However, before acquiring the black metal for the Acure, the Frostner is a good option, enabling control of the swarm of fueling with the slowing freeze effect. Plus, unlike the pierce damage of the Acure, the paralyzing growths from tar pits, while resistant to pierce damage, are weak to both frost and blunt, making the Frostner best for dealing with them. Unfortunately, the Loxodon's resistant to blunt and frost neutralizes this weapon. In this case, bow and arrow might be the way to go, which leads me to my sleeper pick for the biome in the Huntsman bow. In my opinion, the best approach for conquering fueling villages is with a bow picking off one fueling at a time, in which the Huntsman stands out for its reduced attack noise. The attack noise takes effect when hitting a target. Hitting a creature will alert all others within its attack noise radius. Most bows have an attack noise of 15 meters, while the Huntsman is reduced to only 4. For this reason, you can snipe fueling without alerting others more easily. Likewise, this works well for attacking locks, normally found in groups of 3. There is nothing worse than fighting multiple enemies at once in Valheim, but the black metal Acure will be there to cover your back when all else fails. With the introduction of the Mistlands, Valheim adds magic for the first time. For this reason, I will provide both my melee and magic recommendations for each biome going forward. First, the Mistwalker stands out for the melee enjoyers, like the Frostner before it, but dealing slash rather than blunt. The most common creatures in this biome are the Seeker and Seeker Soldier, both having resistance to all physical damage, making elemental damage king amongst the mist. For this reason, the Mistwalker stands out, adding frost to its slash. The enemies in this biome will attack you quickly and attack you in numbers. Once again, the slowing effect of the frost damage sets this apart, allowing you to slow and outmaneuver your foes. Before getting the Mistwalker, the Frostner will once again be a good replacement. For the spellcasters out there, I may turn some heads with this choice, as the Staff of Frost is my go-to for the biome, and in many ways may be the best weapon in the game. Like the Frostner and Mistwalker, it does frost damage, allowing you once again to slow your enemies, increasing your survivability. The only downside of this weapon is its range being quite short, but trust me, the Seekers, Soldiers, and Ticks will not hesitate to get up close and personal. That said, the power of magic, in my opinion, is combining staffs together. My preferred approach is to summon a protective bubble with the Staff of Protection and use the Staff of Frost for short range and Embers for distant targets. In summary, pick the Mistwalker if melee is your preference, and Staff of Frost if spellcasting is more your style. The best weapon for the Ashlands biome is without a doubt the new weapon class in the Berserkir axes, and specifically the Thundering version for that sweet lightning damage and chain lightning proc chance. The Ashlands introduces a wide range of undead and skeletal creatures with high levels of resistance to pierce and poison damage, reducing the viability of those damage-dealing weapons. Further, not a single creature is resistant to lightning, with even a couple being weak to the damage type. On top of that, the biggest spike in difficulty from the biome is the sheer quantity of enemies you will encounter. For this reason, the chance of chain lightning is invaluable in its ability to chain to various targets at once. However, before getting your hands on the new class of Ashlands weapons, the Mistwalker and once again, the timeless Frostner are great choices. Many of the biome's creatures are weak to spirit damage as provided by these two weapons, and again, the freezing effect provided by Frost will stand out. For the spellcasters out there, once again, the Staff of Frost for its freezing damage will be excellent for controlling the various mobs. As you progress the biome and unlock recipes for the new staves, I would personally recommend the Staff of the Wild. As mentioned, the difficulty of the biome comes from the number of creatures. This staff allows you to summon roots, attacking all nearby targets, allowing you to fight many enemies at once. Plus, the roots will have a chance to completely immobilize the enemies with the root proc effect. Overall, magic is king for the Ashlands in my experience, so get the Staff of the Wild as soon as you can, but if opting for melee, the Berserkir axes will tear your foes apart. Never sleep on the best overall weapon in the game, the Frostner. And while that covers the best weapon for each biome, these two videos right here will give you even more details on every weapon in Valheim.